Joy Houston of the Delicious Revolution, and you've caught me playing with my food. I'm going to show you how to make a sun-dried tomato scramble. Most people are looking for healthy alternatives to eggs for breakfast, and this is a great way to do it. I've got a regular old block of tofu here. This is the firm kind, and I'm taking the opportunity to play with my food. I just crumble it right between my fingers, and it's going to give us a texture that is similar to a really scrambled egg. It's not going to be as fluffy as Grandma's scrambled eggs, but it's going to give us a similar texture nonetheless. Just squish that right through your fingers and have lots of fun with it. I'm going to rinse my hand really quick. Now all we have to do is give this a nice cook up in some coconut oil. Now you could use olive oil, but since you want this up on a nice medium-high heat, it's nicer if you use an oil that doesn't break down at high heat. So for that, I like to use the coconut oil. Nutiva makes one. You can get it at your local health food store. They even sell it on Amazon, and they have a better price and free shipping if you buy enough groceries from them. And we're gonna let this get nice and golden. Now while this is goldening up, we're gonna add some minced garlic. This is about 2 small cloves of garlic. We're gonna also add half an onion. Now this probably looks like way more than half an onion to you, and that's because it's a Peruvian sweet onion. So here's the other half. The sweet onions tend to be much, much larger. They bruise a little easier, so you wanna make sure when you get them, you store them in a nice, cool, dry place and don't bruise them, but they're amazing. You can use a Hawaiian sweet onion, you can use a Walla Walla or a Vidalia. If you're going to use a small yellow onion, or you could even use a red onion, if you're going to use one of those onions, you'll want to use a lot less than this. So you literally just want to use half, so you'll have a lot less onion chunks in yours. And we're going to let these get nice and golden along with the tofu. Once we achieve that golden color, all we're going to do is add some sun-dried tomatoes, cook those in, let the red color from the tomato rub off onto the tofu a little bit. Then we're going to add some zucchini, which has a much quicker cook time. And when we're done, we're going to top it with some spinach. And if you like, you can even add a little bit of cheese. Now I'm going to give this a nice seasoning just while it's browning up. All that's going to take is just a little bit of sea salt. I like to cook with sea salt or kosher salt. Make sure you're not seasoning your food with iodized table salt. That actually has much more sodium per teaspoon. So you want to use a kosher salt, which has a much bigger flake. It's actually nice to cook with too because it just crumbles in your hands. You can make sure you really control the amount of sodium in your food. We're also going to add a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. Nothing like fresh cracked pepper. And it really won't need any more seasoning than that because the sun-dried tomatoes are so tangy, the garlic, the onion have a nice bite. That's all it's going to need. So we're going to give this a stir. Go get the table set while we let this brown, and we'll come back and finish it up. Okay, so now the tofu has started to get little brown spots, a lot of gold spots and a little brown spots, so this is ready for us to add the sun-dried tomatoes. Now my sun-dried tomatoes are not all bright red. If you buy them soaked in oil in the store, chances are they'll be a nice, beautiful, bright red. I have a nice mix of color here because these are straight out of the garden. So there's some yellow ice tomatoes in there, there's some bright orange tomatoes in there. Regardless of what type of sun-dried tomato you use, you want to go ahead and add just a little bit of the oil that they are packed in. The reason that you want to do that is you're going to have all that sweet, tangy tomato flavor if you add just a touch of that oil. So go ahead and spoil yourself and add a little bit of that oil. Once you have that well mixed, move that around so it flavors everything, we're going to go ahead and add 1 medium zucchini. Now for me, this is about half of a zucchini. I'll show you why. Maybe a third of a zucchini. We have the zucchinis this big still growing in our garden. So obviously if I put a whole zucchini in there, it would take a lot more than a little cup of sun-dried tomatoes to flavor it. So go ahead and get just a medium zucchini, or even a summer squash would work, whatever is handy in your neck of the woods. We're going to stir that in. Now the zucchini has a much slower quick time. It's small, it's a softer vegetable. So if we were adding other vegetable, like let's say you really wanted some carrot in here, you want to add that earlier along with the garlic and onion because the cook time is not nearly as quick as the zucchini is. So once we get that stirred in here, it's not going to take long for the zucchini to get nice and tender. We don't want it to be mushy, we still want it to have some bite and flavor to it, so we don't want to overcook it. Just a nice quick saute. That's why this makes a great quick morning breakfast for your family because you're not going to be slaving over it for hours and hours. Cooks up really, really quick. Now once that's nice and tender, I'm just going to give it a little more pepper in there. I like a little extra pepper on mine. That looks good. Now, all we have to do is top it with spinach. Now, the spinach has almost no cook time at all. As a matter of fact, the heat just from the tofu and vegetables itself is really enough to wilt the spinach. But we want to make sure that it's nice and warm. Everyone gets a warm send-off for the day. So we're going to just stir it in here. Now, if you have some cheese lovers in your family, great. You could toss this with a little bit of cheese. Now's the time to do that. I'm just going to sprinkle a very little bit over the top here and let it melt right in. That's about a half a cup of cheese. You could use any kind you like. This is a blend of provolone and Asiago, which I really love. And that is done. That spinach has been wilted. The cheese is just melting, and that's exactly how you want to serve this dish. Now, if you want to serve this with some toast, I'm going to recommend that you get away from the processed fluffy white breads and go with something like an Ezekiel toast or a Dave's Killer Bread made from sprouted wheat grain. Much, much better for you and your family. So let's make sure we turn that off. Show you what this looks like here. That must be my husband serving because I don't think that I could eat that much. He won't mind if I pick off of his plate and just tell you how it is. Ooh, nice fresh garden zucchini. See, that sun-dried tomato flavor, it just comes, excuse me, just comes right on through. It's the standout flavor in the dish, so make sure you have a good sun-dried tomato. They're worth it, and so are you. This is Joy Houston from The Delicious Revolution. Check us out for more recipes online at thedeliciousrevolution.com.